Okay, so have you ever like crammed for a test? You know,
Yeah,
feeling good, like you got it, and then
totally.
poof, gone the next
Yeah,
day?
oh, absolutely. Happens all the time.
It's like our brains just hit delete. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's like they're not meant for just like passively taking in information, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole idea of active recall comes in.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how Conduit, the school our listener's kid goes to,
Mm.
they're really like weaving this into how they're teaching, especially for neurodiverse kids.
Wow.
They even sent like a whole communication to parents about it,
Oh, cool.
about how they're going to be implementing it after Thanksgiving break. So it's clearly a big deal.
Yeah, they're really like on top of the research with this stuff.
Yeah. So, okay, let's break it down like what is active recall?
Yeah.
The communication they sent out, it defines it as a way to make memories stronger by making your brain work to retrieve information.
Okay.
So it's not just sitting there,
Huh.
absorbing facts. It's like really digging them out.
Yeah, it's more like exercising a muscle, you know? Like every time you have to remember something, it makes those connections stronger.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not just glancing at your notes. It's like actually quizzing yourself, trying to remember without looking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where those traditional study methods like highlighting and just rereading,
Ugh. Yeah.
they kind of fall short. You might think you know it, but you're not really making your brain work.
Right. You're not really testing yourself.
Yeah.
So Conduit says they're going to use quizzes as
Okay.
part of this.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for our listener to know, like, they said these aren't like big, scary tests.
Right. No pressure.
Yeah. They're more woven into like everyday routines.
Yeah. Low stakes and frequent, just getting those reps in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they also mentioned flashcards and like spaced repetition.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
Oh, yeah. So spaced repetition is basically reviewing things, but at longer and longer intervals.
Okay.
So you might look at something a few minutes after you learn it, then the next day, then a week later, and it kind of helps cement it in there.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's like strategically spacing out when you review stuff.
Exactly.
They even mentioned adding practice tests and self-assessments.
Okay.
But again, it seems like the goal is more about like solidifying what they know,
Right.
not stressing them out about grades.
Exactly. It's more about giving them the tools to, assess themselves and figure out what they need help with.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting. The communication like highlights how they're making a big push for using writing as an active recall strategy,
Oh, interesting.
especially after Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
So why writing?
Well, because it forces you to actually process the information more deeply.
Okay.
It's not just recognizing it. You have to organize it, connect the ideas, put it into words. It's a whole other level.
So you're really working those brain muscles.
Exactly. You got to flex those writing muscles, too.
I like it. And they list some pretty cool benefits for kids who do this regularly. Like, first off, it's a huge memory booster
Of course.
because you're making your brain work to recall the info.
Yeah, you're strengthening those pathways.
So it's not just memorizing. They're actually understanding it better.
Right. It's about deeper learning, not just surface level.
Exactly. They also mention how it improves overall writing skills, which is a given,
Sure.
but also self-expression, which is huge, especially for neurodiverse kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For kids who learn differently, having that outlet can be so important.
Right. It gives them that confidence
Right.
and helps them feel more in control of their learning.
Exactly.
And this ties into another benefit they mention. It helps build a growth mindset.
Oh, that's so key, especially for these kids.
Right, because it's that belief that you can improve through effort.
Yeah, that your abilities aren't fixed.
So it encourages them to embrace challenges and keep trying, even when it's tough.
Exactly.
It's like they're giving these kids a whole toolkit for success, not just in school, but in life.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's about setting them up for the long run.
And they're really emphasizing the importance of parents being involved in this, too.
Oh, that's great.
Like, they're asking parents to do daily math and reading prompts with their kids
Okay.
and have them write their answers in composition notebooks.
That's a good way to keep track of it.
Yeah. And what's reassuring is they say they'll work with each child at their level
Oh, good.
because they know some kids might be ready to write full sentences
Right.
while others might need more support.
Of course. Meeting them where they're at.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's really personalized.
It has to be.
So it seems like they're going for this win-win.
Yeah.
Reinforcing what they're learning in those subjects,
Right.
but also making them better writers,
Yeah.
which we've talked about is especially helpful for meeting those neurodiverse needs.
Absolutely. It's a really smart approach. recognizing how all these skills connect.
Right. It's not just about one thing in isolation.
Exactly. It's about the whole picture.
Exactly.
It's a holistic approach.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So Conduit's really onto something here.
Yeah, it seems like...
With this focus on active recall and using writing.
Yeah. And especially tailoring it for those neurodiverse learners.
Right. Because it's all about what works best for each individual child.
Exactly. That's the key.
And I think that's something that's sometimes forgotten.
Oh, for sure. It's easy to get caught up in a one-size-fits-all mentality.
Totally. So it's good to see Conduit really putting the individual child at the center of this.
Yeah, that's really encouraging.
You know, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about how the communication focused a lot on using these techniques for math and reading.
Yeah.
But what about other areas of learning?
Mm-hmm.
What about a child's unique interests and passions?
That's a good question.
Could this writing approach be used to make learning about those things more engaging as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
Like, imagine if a kid is obsessed with dinosaurs.
Right.
Could you have them write a story from a dinosaur's perspective?
Oh, totally. That'd be awesome.
Right. It taps into their imagination,
Yeah.
but also reinforces what they're learning about prehistoric life.
Exactly.
It's sneaking the learning in there.
Exactly. It's all about finding those connections that make it click for each kid.
Yeah. Making it meaningful.
So for our listener who's, trying to support their neurodiverse child,
Mm-hmm.
the message is clear. Active recall, especially through writing, is powerful.
For sure.
And Conduit's definitely embracing that.
They are.
But it doesn't stop there. It sounds like the real magic happens when you tap into those individual passions
Yeah,
and make learning personally relevant.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
It's given me a whole new perspective on how powerful active recall can be,
Mm-hmm.
especially with writing.
Yeah.
And I'm really heartened by how Conduit's putting these ideas into action,
Yeah, you too.
especially for their neurodiverse students.
It's inspiring to see.
Yeah. And for our listener, I hope this has given you some practical tools.
Yeah.
And, a renewed sense of hope.
Absolutely.
Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
But by embracing active learning,
Celebrating your child's unique strengths and advocating for their needs, you can help them unlock their full potential.
absolutely, the possibilities are endless.
It's a journey for sure,
It is.
but with the right support and a commitment to, active engaging learning,
Absolutely.
the sky's the limit.
It really is. Yeah, it really shows how they're putting research into practice,
Right.
really focusing on what works, especially for these kids.
It makes you wonder, though, could these same ideas,
Mm-hmm.
this whole active recall thing and the writing,
Mm-hmm.
could it help all learners?
Oh, that's interesting. You mean not just neurodiverse kids?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Is this something that could benefit anyone?
That's a great question. And, researchers are looking into that.
Okay.
There's more and more evidence that suggests these techniques can be effective for everyone.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like neurotypical brains are immune to forgetting stuff.
Exactly. We all benefit from actively engaging with information, not just passively taking it in.
Right. Think about how we learn new skills in life.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just read about it. We actually do it.
Exactly. You got to practice.
If I want to learn a new recipe,
Right.
I don't just read the instructions I get in the kitchen and start chopping veggies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the doing that makes it stick.
Right. Whether it's cooking or learning a new language or playing an instrument,
Mm-hmm.
it's that active engagement that's key.
Totally. And that's what active recall is all about.
Right.
It's about actively retrieving the information, using it, making it meaningful.
So let's bring it back to our listener.
Okay.
What does this all mean for parents and educators who are supporting neurodiverse kids?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that active recall, especially through writing,
Right.
it's a powerful tool that can really unlock their potential.
You okay?
Conduit's approach is a great example.
Okay.
But there are tons of other ways to incorporate this into a child's routine.
It's about moving away from that old school passive learning
Right.
and embracing something more active and engaging.
Yeah.
And it sounds like writing can be a huge part of that.
Absolutely, because it not only reinforces what they're learning, but it also gives them a voice, a way to express themselves.
Right. And be creative.
Exactly.
And like we were saying earlier, that self-expression can be so empowering for these kids.
Absolutely. It helps them own their learning.
And approach it with confidence.
Exactly. And when they feel confident and engaged, learning becomes fun.
Right. It's not a chore anymore.
Exactly.
And the communication from Conduit really emphasizes how they're going to tailor this to each child's needs.
Oh, good.
Which is so important.
It is. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Especially with neurodiversity.
Exactly. You got to meet each kid where they're at.
So it sounds like Conduit's on the right track here.
Yeah, they're really taking what we know about how the brain learns.
Right.
And putting it into practice.
And making a real difference in these kids' lives.
Absolutely. And it's not just about academics either.
Right.
It's about fostering a love of learning, building confidence, giving them the skills they need for a world that's constantly changing.
Beautifully put.
Thank you.
It's about empowering them to become lifelong learners.
Yeah.
Curious, engaged, ready for anything.
I love that.
And it's inspiring to see a school like Conduit taking the lead on this.
It really is. And you know what's exciting?
What's that?
These principles can be applied outside of school, too.
Oh, interesting. Like how?
Well, we've been talking about math and reading.
Right. That's what the communication focused on.
But what about a child's passions? You know, their unique interests.
Okay. Like, could we use this writing to make learning about those things more fun, you know?
Oh, totally.
More engaging.
It's all about making it meaningful,
Right?
right?
Like relevant to them.
Exactly.
Like we were saying about dinosaurs. What if they wrote a story?
Oh, from the dinosaurs' point of view, that would be so cool.
Right. It gets their imagination going.
Totally.
But they're also learning about dinosaurs at the same time.
Exactly.
It's like sneaking the learning in there.
I love that.
So for our listener out there, you know, who's trying to help their neurodiverse kid, the message is pretty clear. Active recall, especially with writing, it's a powerful tool.
Absolutely.
And Conduit's definitely on board with that.
Yeah, they're really embracing it.
But it goes beyond that. It's about finding those passions, those unique interests.
Yeah.
And making learning personal.
Absolutely. That's what makes it stick.
This has been such a great deep dive.
It has been.
It's given me a whole new way of thinking about how we learn.
Yeah.
And how powerful this active recall can be.
It's amazing what our brains can do.
Especially when you add in the writing.
Right. It really takes it to another level.
And I'm so glad to see Conduit's doing this for their students.
Me too.
Yeah.
Especially for those neurodiverse learners.
It's really inspiring.
It is. They're really leading the way.
And for our listeners, I hope this has been helpful.
Yeah, I hope so.
And giving you some new ideas to try.
Absolutely.
And maybe even a little bit of hope.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember, there's no one right way to do this.
Right. Every kid's different.
But by really embracing active learning and celebrating what makes your child unique and advocating for what they need,
absolutely,
you can help them reach their full potential.
Totally. The possibilities are endless.
It's a journey, but it's so worth it.
It really is.